Hey there, I'm Hayley Hamilton Cogill. I live in Dallas, Texas. I'm originally from Southern California. My heart belongs on the big island of Hawaii though, so hopefully I'll be there permanently someday soon. But I love to cook, and I grew up in a restaurant. My grandmother had a restaurant in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and so during the summers when we would go visit her, I was placed on a stool back in the kitchen with her cook, Miss Phillips, and Miss Phillips cooked everything Southern, everything comfort, and I watched and I learned. And occasionally Miss Phillips would let me make the chopped house salad that the restaurant had every night, and sometimes my cucumbers were this thin and sometimes they were that thick, and I just wasn't, I didn't have my knife skills perfected at the age of 5, but I really loved it and grew up in that atmosphere. I went to college here in Texas. I worked as a restaurant bartender and waitress, and had some great cooks that allowed me to play during the off hours and taught me how to cook on a flat top with Faze, which is a not real butter product, but it was great at the time. And I really watched and I learned a lot. And over the years, I have always loved cooking. It's a real way for me to show how I feel and the way that I feel about people, and show them that I care and that I love them. Inviting people into our home is one of my favorite things to do. And it's kind of something that I was also taught from my aunt, who's probably my greatest inspiration. She is a writer and a cook and a gourmand, loved wine, and she was always who I kind of wanted to be when I grew up. When I went to her house, it was always smelling like garlic and red wine and roses, and somehow it all went together really beautifully. And that's really kind of was one of my main inspirations. I had another career for many years. I was in the television industry actually, and had a fantastic career in that field, but always loved wine, loved food. Left that several years ago really to follow my passions in wine, but with wine comes great food, and that's one of the main reasons that all of them come together so beautifully. So what we're going to do today, I wanted to kind of show you one of my main dishes that we like to cook, especially when we're entertaining. It's a really, really cool, really easy appetizer that I think is kind of my perspective on a plate. I am a very real cook. I cook natural products. I love going to farmers markets or to our local grocery stores and finding what's in season and then kind of celebrating that. And so with that, we're going to make a Cava poached salmon, and we're going to put that on a wasabi pea puree. The salmon I love. We're actually still using some of the salmon that my husband caught when he was in Alaska. He's a big fisherman and went on a fishing trip out of Ketchikan, Alaska, so we're still using some of the king salmon, so that's a nice special product. And then obviously the Cava, and this is why, kind of my perspective, I am a sommelier. I got my certification in 2005, and with that, it's always the best sound. And so that kind of led me into doing what I'm doing now, which is writing about wine, traveling and kind of researching wine. And basically, I'm just going to take this Cava and put it in a nice saucepan. I love Cava. You can use any sparkling wine. It kind of is silly to use champagne because it is something that you're going to cook with. So make sure it's something, a sparkling wine that you'd want to drink without actually costing you a fortune. This is one of my favorites. It's Segura Viudas. I like this one in particular because it is made in the traditional method. So that second fermentation is taking place in the bottle, which to me is kind of key because they aren't pumping CO2 in to give you that bad headache. So really good little product, and it's super affordable. So pour that in. Oh, and the other nice thing about cooking and being the cook is that you always get to pour yourself a little bit of something as well. So put this on your stove. You want to make sure that there's enough Cava in the pan to actually cover the salmon once you slide it in. And then you just want to add some aromatics. I've got some lime wedges. You can use lemon wedges. I've got some onions. You can use shallots as well. Some nice black peppercorns. And a couple garlic cloves. You're also going to want to throw in some beautiful herbs, and that's kind of one of the key things with this whole dish. I've got some cilantro, I've got some mint, and this is really the beauty because all of these nice fresh flavors are what's going to really, really make the salmon kind of special and really enhance that flavor. So while this comes to a boil, and you really just want this to come to a quick boil, and then you're going to simmer it. The whole point of boiling it is just to cook off some of that alcohol. It doesn't have it's not a high alcohol wine, but you do want to kind of cook some of that flavor off. But while that is happening, we're going to go ahead and get our sauce started, which is super simple, but really, really impressive, and I think really flavorful. Sweet peas. You can use fresh peas. These are frozen. I think they're fine. They are thawed out though, so you just want to throw some peas into a blender. You can also use a food processor, but the blender I think is kind of nice because it just makes sure you have a nice creamy consistency. Then I'm going to use my favorite kitchen tool. We call it a buddy. I think we have 3 of these. It's a chef-in. Because this little spatula does everything. It can fold, it can whip, it can scoop, it can take something out of a pan. It's kind of a do-all be-all, and it's one of the best little tools in the world. So we're just going to use our buddy, and we're going to throw some wasabi paste, it's about a tablespoon, and some ginger, and a couple cloves of garlic, as well as half of an avocado into our little blender, along with a touch of Greek yogurt, just to kind of add to that creaminess, and also gives a little bit of acidity, which I do like. You know, salmon's so rich and avocado's so rich that I think that just a little bit of acidity is kind of a nice addition to it, along with a little bit of kava. You have it open, you might as well use it, just to get the blender kind of started, and a little bit of lime juice. Again, it's that little punch of acidity, that little punch of flavor that I think makes it really special. And so while that gets going, we're just gonna pulse it a little bit to get it started, and then you're gonna actually wanna blend it until it's nice and smooth. So we will and that's very loud. But basically you wanna blend it until it's nice and smooth and you have a nice kind of rich consistency. Kind of pour it, or use your chef-in or your buddy to scrape down the sides and kind of continue to keep it nice and coming together, which I think is really special. Then with our salmon, kava's actually already come to a boil, so that was super fast, which is again why I love this little dish. So I have 2 beautiful pieces of salmon. You just want to do a quick little seasoning on them, a little salt and pepper, maybe half a quarter teaspoon, half a teaspoon each. And then all you want to do is place them in basically your little kava liquid. You want to just sink them down into that liquid, and then you want to just turn it to a simmer. You don't need it, the alcohol's actually already boiled off, which is nice and simple. And these are going to poach just a couple minutes, like I said, 3 or 4 minutes. And while that's going on, I want to show you guys a little bit about why I love to cook. And I've been married for about 2.5 years. I have an awesome husband. He's my main taste tester, as well as my greatest supporter. And the reason that I think we do come together so well is both of us love to entertain, and it is a real way that we show people that we love them. I get lots of inspiration. We have lots of cookbooks, but this is my, I call this my wine room, my spirits room. Lots of my cookbooks, but also lots and lots of wine. My snow globe collection, it is one of my kind of key things from all my travels, which I think is really special. Lots of pictures, lots of wine, but this is kind of our main room. This is my inspiration room. This is where I find my most joy, because it is when we bring people in around our dining room table and we sit and we eat and we drink great wine and we tell great stories, and the art of conversation to me is really, really what's so special. And to have an opportunity to share that, it has just made me thrive, and that's the joy that I find in cooking and being a hostess. I am a huge fan of Food Network. Anna Garten to me is the queen of all entertaining. Always elegant, always beautiful. Everything she does is always taken to the next notch, and that's really, really what I've tried to do. And when people come into our home, that's one of the main gifts I hope to give them. So with that, I want to introduce my sweet husband. This is Gary Cogill, and this is my 4-legged child, Yoda.
Raise your hand if you like poached salmon.
and they're my, as I said, my main taste testers.
Oh.
Basically, the salmon's almost done, but we do have a finished one already kind of created for you. So I wanted to see if you taste it.
I feel like Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Will you feed me?
I will. So this is our
I love
finished
it.
product. It's, like I said, poached salmon, Kava poached salmon, with a little bit of fresh herbs, lime zest. I did use mint, cilantro, and basil. Those are some of my favorite ones. And it's on a bed of wasabi pea puree.
Ooh, wasabi
lots
pea
of
puree.
ginger, lots of avocado,
Wow.
lots of good stuff. Can I
Right,
feed you
yeah,
because you're
that's
holding Yoda?
Yeah. This makes me so happy. This makes me so happy.
I hope so. Oh, it's
Look at
perfect.
this.
It's nice and medium rare.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So here's what I love. That salmon is really creamy. And by the way, that's from Alaska. But that wasabi pea puree, it's got a little kick to
It
it.
does. That's why I love
And
it.
it cuts through that creaminess, and it just makes that all. That's a balanced,
It's so
beautiful
good.
dish,
It's so good. And then obviously, the next question that I always get is, what are we going to pair with this? And you just cooked with kava, so you can certainly drink with kava, but I'm going to throw out one of my favorite wines.
Yeah.
A perfect bottle of Chardonnay. California Chardonnay is always a great go-to. So this one's for Minor. It's one of our favorites. And I think that, again, it's nice and creamy and rich. And so with the spice of that wasabi, it's going to just balance really, really beautifully. So thank you so much. I am thrilled to try to be a part of this competition. I am very competitive, but in a nice way. I think that the mentors could be a great asset to me just because I'm a quick learner. I'm a very clean cook. I think that I have lots of great ideas, and to be able to work with them, I think would be really, really amazing. And I would hopefully prove to everyone that my skills and my talent and my passion for cooking are there. So thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand if you like eating in this house.
Cheers.